How's it going, Todd?
There he is.
There we go. So I was putting on some clothes for you. It's not that kind of podcast,
Yeah,
right?
I know, right? I was thinking I probably should put some pants on as well. So we're on the same
Hey, no one
page
can
here,
see below
Trevor.
the waist, man, unless you stand up. So it's all good.
Exactly. All right, Trevor Beggs, thank you for taking some time here tonight to hang out with the Toddcast. Of course, you're known multifaceted here in the city. A Vancouver Canuck writer. You're the managing editor of the Nucks Misconduct and host of the Morning Practice podcast. Lots on your plate, buddy. You don't like the free time like me or what?
Yeah, you know what? It's you should ask my wife and daughter about how they feel about all these side projects aside from the day job. But
Mhm.
what can I say, man? Ever since I was just a wee lad, I just love talking sports, love writing about sports. One of those guys that didn't quite have the build to make it. So I scratched the itch in other ways.
Right. Writing, speaking, editing, all that kind of stuff. What was the sport of choice as a kid? Like, was it hockey? Was it baseball, soccer? What'd you do?
Yeah, it was hockey and soccer for me. Arguably I was better at soccer, but I always loved hockey more. I just hit my growth spurt late, so by the time I played until I was about 12 years old, and my parents were looking at me, 80 pounds, 5 feet tall, soaking wet, and
Yeah.
you get to 12 years old, and some guys are hitting that growth spurt early, and
Sure.
my parents were a little worried about me. I played with a bit of an edge, but I think that edge meant less as the guys grew around me. So
Yeah, true. Fair enough, right? Everybody else does the same thing. So what
yeah.
is it now, Trevor, that will eat up the majority of your day? Like, is it the writing? Is it managing editor? Is it like, I know the podcast, man, if you're doing it and you're doing it right, it takes up a lot of time. So what is it like? How does your day, is there an average day look like for you?
Yeah, you know what? So I do have a day job aside from all that stuff, but it's
Come
not maybe
on,
not
dude. You
as
got a
exciting.
day job on top of all
I
that
do,
shit.
yeah. I got a 9 to 5 on top of the three side jobs here.
What?
So I'm a financial advisor during the day, Monday to Friday. I usually get up at 4 to 4:30 in the morning to get some of this writing done on the side. So
That
I
is absolutely insane, bro.
yeah, I try my best, man. Just try to lay off the marijuana during the week because that's that means it's a slower wake up call. But yeah, it's look, I've been writing about hockey through one form or another since 2013. Actually, oddly enough, I started with Van City Buzz or Daily Hive, and
Yeah.
I've been around ever since. So I love what I do, and shout out to Rob at Daily Hive. I've been
Oh,
writing for
Rob
them for a
Williams.
couple.
Yeah, he's been on the
Yeah,
podcast too. Great guy, solid dude. Yeah.
yeah, he's the man for sure. I like to consider myself mini Rob. Maybe not quite as good looking, but I try
And
my
and,
best.
and no cape.
Yeah, yeah, no cape exactly. I guess I'm Robin to his Batman. Maybe you can
It's
ask him
coming.
about that.
It's
But
coming. Yeah. Hey,
yeah,
how much did COVID-19, now knowing that you have a job beyond the shit we've already been talking about, but how much did COVID, screw with your world?
yeah. I mean, probably not as bad as most. So, as a financial advisor, whether the world's shut down or you're in the office, people still have your money invested with you. So
Yeah.
obviously there were some strenuous phone calls in March of 2020, but at
Oh,
the
I
end of
bet,
the day,
when
I was
initially when that first hit, like I looked at all of my shit and it had dropped like
yeah,
80, 90K in like overnight kind of thing. Right. And I was
yeah.
like fully pa- panic button. I was pushing it. Like the shoot was depressed. Like, and I had so many of my buddies that were kind of like, not like you, not where like actual financial advisor, but like buddies were like, dude, just fucking chill. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
coming around again, right? Like
yeah,
you're a younger ish dude. Like you got lots of time, man. Don't worry about that shit.
yeah, 100%. I mean, the only guys I know who really got burned were, day trading when this was all going on. Like I had someone call into my office recently and they're trying to tell me like basically how to do my job. And he's just like, yeah, but I lost all my money during the pandemic. I was like, most people bounce back pretty quick there, bud.
Yeah, right. Holy
But
shit. Did
yeah,
some
man.
bad trading over that time, if that's the case, right?
Yeah, I was like, you trying to tell me what to do, but you blew through your savings. Like, if you just held on, you would have been okay.
You
But
would have been fine. Oh, I'm back up to it. I think I'm past where I was. I mean, the panic button, there was you didn't need to press it,
yeah. I know people
Uh,
love their panic buttons, but sometimes you just gotta, throw in the drawer and lock it away, and
yeah.
maybe swallow the key while you're at it.
Yeah, totally right. Yeah, I mean, and if you can, like, get into some high risk shit too when you're a bit younger. Like, that's one of the
Yeah,
reasons I was able to buy into Vancouver, into the housing market, and like, when I was like, early 20s, I was like, fuck it, man, I don't care. I'm in for the long haul. So put me to some shit that's like maybe like
yeah.
dicey, but I'm gonna 25-30% to payoff on it, right?
Oh, 100%. I think, yeah, when you're young, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but
Totally.
you got to be able to take some risk, and I think you got to be comfortable losing it all, which scares some people, because when
Yeah,
you're dealing with high risk shit, like, it could theoretically go to zero. So, but
totally,
you got to take some
100%.
chances, and I know I've come across countless people who have, maybe somewhat similar to yourself, but were able to buy a house because of, crypto exploding or something like that.
Well,
So
that's the one thing I kind of
yeah,
kicked myself. My buddies were like, dude, get into crypto. And it was like when it was like 300 or something like that. I was like,
yeah,
I'm not throwing my money away, right? And like now I'm like, I don't even want to think
yeah.
about that shit.
Oh yeah, I met a guy maybe 6 months ago. He was one of the first holders of Bitcoin. I think he said he held it in like 2013 or something like that, and he sold it after a year. I'm like,
Wow.
ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the things
Whole
you
other
don't want to think
story.
about for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So Trevor, that's great that I had no idea that you were a financial trader. So that's cool.
yeah,
But this is of course all about the sports side of Trevor here tonight, right? So
yeah. It's
what
arguably the more interesting side, but it depends what
well,
you're
I don't know,
interested in,
man.
I guess.
Maybe I have to get you on the lifestyle side of the podcast and do the financial side, man. That sounds pretty fucking badass to me. But
There
uh,
we
I
go.
I want to get into like what is your first Vancouver Canuck memory?
Oh man, something probably random. So, I'm born in 93, not to age myself or anything. And I started having memories about the Canucks around 98, 99. But I think my first memory was just really random. But I remember Todd Bertuzzi scoring a sick goal. Just something where he drove to the net, and I think he roofed it on a goaltender. And it was a regular season game, but that was my first memory around like 5, 6 years old, was just Bertuzzi pulling some wacky shit out of his ass. And
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
so at that point, of course, you're playing in minor hockey, right?
yeah. At that
And
time
you're
I was,
watching
yeah.
it's like you're talking like the days of like Naslund and Morrison and all that, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, my parents tell me stories of like, so I was 1 year old when they did the 94 run, and my parents say one of my first words was "Boo-ray."
Nice.
Well, it showed at the TV. So, and I'm my parents won't admit it either, but I think I'm named after Trevor Linden too. I got a couple hockey fanatics for parents as well. So,
Right.
but they'll never admit it.
Yeah, of course. Maybe if your name was Linden, it would be a little bit harder to pull off. But
Yeah,
um, so the cup run, obviously for you, that holds the biggest place in your heart would be the 11. Then
yeah,
where were
100%.
you for that? And did you cause shit? Were you a little badass or what?
Yeah, no, not at the time. I was sentimental about game 7, so I stayed at home with the old man, hoping to see a cup win with him. But I was
Nice.
down for games 2, 4, and 6, and I think one of my best memories from downtown ever was game 2. I mean, I remember me and my buddy. First off, I skipped my high school grad. I graduated high school in 2011, so everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But I had to see the game. I wasn't missing it.
Yeah.
So I'm downtown with my buddy, skipping high school grad, and we met these people from Williams Lake who had never been downtown or in Vancouver in their life. And then here they are in the midst of this shit for game 2. And honestly, I think I was like, we were boozing it up during the first 3 periods. And then, like, I think I was taking a piss when Burrow scored in overtime. Like, I'm pissing behind some building, and everyone starts losing their shit. So I missed the goal, but obviously it didn't matter too much. I mean, we were downtown celebrating for,
Yeah.
6 hours, just high-fiving strangers on the street and drinking. So it was a great time for sure. I think, yeah, game 2 is probably my fondest memory of that cup run.
Yeah. And of course the president's trophies years like 10 and 11, like how everyone thought the cup was ours. Like, how could it not be?
Yeah. Oh, especially with Burrow scoring that goal too, and against Chicago. I mean, I'm not a very emotional guy. something crazy happens. I don't often cry, but I shed a tear when Burrow scored that goal against Chicago. It's just there's a lot of angst going on, and yeah, I mean my dad hugging for that. So it was that was also a good memory. But yeah, I mean, it's I think the Stanley Cup is probably the hardest trophy to win in professional sports.
Well, it has to be.
Guys, yeah, I think guys in other sports might not agree, but just the length of the series and what these guys go through
Sure.
physically, I think it's by far the hardest trophy in sports to win. So
Yeah, and
I mean, we might never see one in our lifetime, but I hope you and I are downtown.
Well, you shut your mouth. We are definitely going to be seeing one. Come on now. And we, of course, we haven't been, conference champs for over a decade. Like, looking at the team now, kind of got an insight on the team, being a writer for, respectable Vancouver, authority. How do you see the next couple of years, playing out? Not to get too like philosophical, but do you think we've got what it takes right now with the team being the way that it is? Miller, what do you make of Miller as well? Is he sticking around? Like what if we're in the hunt at the trade deadline? What if he gets hurt? I was talking with Brian Weeb, the GM of the Port Moody Panthers, about that this afternoon. Lots to think about with the Canucks right now.
Yeah, Brian Weeb, shout out to that guy. Haven't
He's
heard
a
that
dude,
name in a bit, but he's a bit of a beauty too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would do and what I think the team's going to do are do two different things. Look, I don't want to write off this management group yet, but they've been, more conservative than I think any of us really thought. And you can use the flat cap as an excuse, but then again, you go and see Calgary pull some wacky shit out of their ass. So
right.
At my fear right now, and I said this when we were doing some Miller predictions on Nucks Misconduct, is exactly kind of like you said, is that right now they're saying, oh, there's no pressure. Yeah, we don't have a pressure point at the deadline. I mean, those were Rutherford's words.
Right.
I mean, if they're in a playoff spot, which is a good chance they are at the deadline, I don't think they're trading Miller.
Why would honestly, the way how could they at that point? Like,
yeah, exactly. So the way I see it playing it out is that Canucks are going to make the playoffs. They're going to hold on to Miller. They're going to bow in the first round, maybe win a round, and probably get knocked out of the playoffs. And Miller's going to walk for nothing. I mean, that's a bit pessimistic, and I usually I'm an optimistic guy, but that's kind of how I see it playing out right now. I hope I'm wrong. I do think
the conversation
in general,
I had today with Brian, almost word for word.
Yeah, it's
because you don't suddenly you're like, well, whatever, there's a guy that helped us get to this point, now we'll just let him go and whatever. Like, no, you'll take him, ride him out, and they get nothing for him at the end of the year, but whatever, at least you ride him out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's Calgary was able to again pull some shit out of their ass when Gaudreau did that to them. I think they were in a position where there was no way they could trade Johnny Hockey. I mean, they had a legitimate shot at the cup last year.
Right.
But it's going to be a fascinating situation. The Canucks defense isn't good enough to make a deep playoff run. It would take some rose-colored Cinderella shit for this team to go on a long run. So, I mean, I'm always trying to be optimistic. It is almost September. It's time for optimism. But yeah, I think we've seen a lot of crappy hockey in this market for almost a decade now since the good times. So. Yeah. I think it's fair for fans to be jaded, and I think a lot of fans are realistic about the long-term goal as well, and the need to take a step back to take two steps forward.
Yeah, and what are for you for the the notable trades? Let's say the highlights of the summer. Like, what do you think are the big trades that will change the look and feel of certain teams in the NHL?
Around the NHL, you're saying, not just the Canucks?
Not just Canucks.
Oh, off the top of my head, that's a great question. Man, there's been some big moves this summer. I mean, it's a broken record, but I mean, JT Miller is still a huge domino to fall. Like, even you listen to the 32 Thoughts podcast with Jeff Merrick and Elliot Freeman, they're already name dropping Miller going to Colorado as a possibility with Nazem Kadri not going there. So
right.
Yeah, I
wasn't Kadri going to Calgary, isn't he?
Yeah, so that was the point, right? So since Kadri's now in Calgary, they're saying, okay, well, Kadri was initially trying to go back to Colorado.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, I see where they're
they have this big,
right. I got it.
This big hole in their lineup. Maybe they're looking to fill a spot, but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have anyone big off the top of my head, but that Miller to Colorado anything with Miller stands out. I mean, it's a sexy topic. New York's still kind of floating around, and they need to improve their offense. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. If you were to build like the ultimate Canuck team, past and present players, who's making your team?
I mean, I'd have Sedin and Burrows top line.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the best line in the Canucks history. Then you go West Coast Express second line. And then, yeah, well, that doesn't even include Burry and Linden. Probably have like a Burry, Linden, Ronning. Bring back the 94 boys for a third line. And then
Yeah.
probably need some grid in the bottom six there. Maybe like a Torres, Malhotra, Lapierre. Bring back another 2011 line there. So
I love that
that's
you
pretty
left
close
out
to that.
Mark Messier, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's not getting on there. I'd stop watching the Canucks if that was the case. I'm glad. I think that there's a reason that my first lucid Canuck memories came after the Messier era.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not something worth remembering.
I did like Mogilny. I was surprised to not hear Mogilny
Right.
mentioned in there.
Yeah, you know what? I'd love some talent on the board there, just trying to build that.
Yeah, true. Like that shows just how good of a team we've had over the years.
Yeah,
and how about goaltending? Who do you pick for like two of the favorite goaltenders?
It's got to be Luongo and McLean, and
has to be.
I'd probably start McLean again before my time, but it just seemed like he had a bit of more of a knack for coming up in the clutch. It's funny whenever I talk to guys like my dad's age about hockey. You don't get a lot of love for Luongo. I think a lot of people realize he was the best goalie in Canucks history, but yeah, there's a lot of guys 50 plus who are just like, oh yeah, but he just couldn't get it done in the big games, and that's his legacy for a lot of people, right? But I'm going to look at the bigger picture. He was a fantastic goalie and definitely a worthy first ballot Hall of Famer as well.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I've had Kirk McLean in this studio drinking beers, shooting the shit for like hours, playing local indie bands and stuff. He's such a good guy, man. Really, really cool guy.
Yeah. I always see him around the community here. Like even when I worked in community journalism with the Surrey Now Leader there, it's I was only there for less than a year. I remember seeing him at like multiple events. Like he's obviously invested in the community and always around, which you love to see.
Yeah, for sure. Which other sports like do you like the best besides hockey? You can get into the Lions. You watch
oh yeah, I'm a football guy next, so
nice.
big CFL guy, big NFL guy. I almost feel guilty that I've become a bigger NFL guy as opposed to CFL over the years, but definitely still love the Lions and watch the CFL.
I think a lot of guys are like that too, and I don't know what it is. Like, is it just that there's more like partying with the NFL for some reason? Like, I don't know what it is.
I think it's a couple things. I think it's talent. First and foremost, I think the talent is just far superior to the CFL.
Yeah.
But I also think like the whole like betting and fantasy like really helped NFL take off as well.
Yeah.
But there's things I like about the CFL game better. Like I think 3-down football moves a lot faster. Like the field's bigger.
For sure it does.
Yeah, I think that, but it's the reffing in the CFL. Not to be one of those guys like, oh, the damn refs, but I feel like the reffing really bugs me in the CFL. And then just the talent's lacking for the most part. But again, good in BC this year to have Nathan Rourke, because I feel like we've been lacking a star player like that.
Kicking some ass this year. It's looking good.
100%.
Yeah. Are you a gambler? Do you bet on sport?
Oh yeah, I play fantasy football for sure in the NFL. Got a couple fantasy drafts coming up this week.
And how do you do?
Pumping up for that.
Ever won? Have you ever drubbed your boys or what?
Yeah, I got one fantasy title and a couple second place finishes where I've at least made some money. So
nice.
Yeah, I like to think I'm not a bad fantasy player, but I had a cardinal sin last year. I did my draft, around this time last year, in late August. It was a scheduled 9:30 draft. And I partied too hard the night before and I slept in for my draft.
No.
I woke up and my draft was a half an hour in, so I was fucked for the year after that. So
wow, yeah, there's no coming back.
That was a pretty yeah, no more mistakes this year. That was that was a lesson right there.
Yeah, exactly. Take yourself to the side, just have a good talk to yourself, and like, all right, come on, Trevor, get together, everybody, come on. How about the fights, MMA, Bellator, UFC? You watch that stuff?
Not huge into it. I got a ton of respect for what those guys do. Like I'll watch it with buddies, like maybe on a Saturday night when someone's throwing it on. I don't follow it super close, but man, I got a ton of respect for what those guys do. Holy hell.
I know, right? It's like just getting in the ring and kicking the shit out of each other for like 20 minutes at a time.
Oh man, like puts me in my high school backyard, or back, whatever you want to call it, behind the school fights to shame.
Yeah, well, for sure. And how about do you keep up with the Jake Paul, the YouTuber? He's and all that circus that is his life.
Yeah, what was he doing recently? Was it baseball he tried out or something?
Was he trying baseball? I think. Oh, I saw him take a few swings. Yeah, I mean, he'd
Yeah.
actually had a full on, boxing bout ready with a
Yeah.
pretty decent
Yeah,
guy.
I can't remember who he fought now. Was it the other basketball player? Little
Well,
short
he
dude. Or
fought. Didn't he fight Woodley, a UFC fighter?
Oh yeah, it was Woodley. Sorry, I'm
And
mixing up. There's another short dude from the NBA that was like in the same pay-per-view event as Paul, but maybe they didn't fight each other.
oh, possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that shit. Like, sure, like maybe he would outbox me, but I don't know about a full on scrap. You know what I
Yeah, I don't
mean?
know.
Like,
Let's see. Can we see you flex for the camera or
oh
what?
yeah, come on,
Yeah.
baby.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that
Man.
just because he's got a lot of followers, like he thinks he can scrap. It's funny, man. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Ego's a
Trevor, let me
powerful
get
thing,
up.
man.
Let me get outside of sport here for a little while and get to know you a little bit.
All right, man.
What are you binge watching right now? What are you getting enough of?
Oh man. Been on a bit of a movie trip lately, more so than binging a show, but I did watch the Manti Te'o documentary.
Oh, how was that?
Have you seen that one? Yeah,
No, I
it's
haven't. I heard it's awesome, but
yeah, I mean, I remember at the time, like when that whole story came out, thinking like just feeling bad for this kid, like he was
yeah,
like 21-year-old kid, and he's all over like American media, and it's just the whole fucking circus that like engulfed his life. Like I felt bad for him at the time. Didn't
I
really
know,
think too
right?
much past that. But then you watch this documentary and it's just like it's those same emotions, but just tenfold. Like
Wow.
this guy just talks about like all he cared about was faith, family, and football. Just like a good down to earth guy. Like just loved the Lord, loved the game, and he just wanted to seem like he wanted to help people make a difference. And he thought he met this girl online who, same race, similar interests, respected him in his sport, and it ends up being
Like a
a dude
fake.
on the other end. Like
It,
it's
it, isn't that insane? Like, did they get much into the psychological aspect of somebody that's fucked enough to do that to somebody else?
Yeah, so they interviewed the guy who's now gone to do surgery to become a girl.
Okay.
So this guy slash girl, yeah, they interview him through the whole documentary.
Wow.
So you get to see his side and what was going through his mind at the time. And Manti Te'o's interviewed separately. So it's pretty fascinating stuff.
Dude, it doesn't even seem like it would be real life. Like it is almost too far-fetched to even be considered like movie stuff as opposed to like this actual shit that happened to somebody.
Yeah, 100%. And it's he like dedicated his whole senior year to like his so I don't know if you know this, but like so his grandma passed away, and then later that day he was told by the person who's making all this shit up that his girlfriend had died, and it was really the person just fucking with him because she wanted to
God.
stop it. So in the same day he learns his grandma and his girlfriend die,
Just
and he loses his
psycho.
shit, and then he ends up dedicating his entire senior year to the grandma and the girlfriend. So obviously this dead girlfriend gets a lot of play in the media. And then when they find out that, she wasn't real, like, American media is like, oh, did he make this up for motivation? Like, is he hiding the fact that he's gay? Like all this shit's coming out. And really he just was like none of it was true. He just was the
He,
victim of this sick fucking joke.
he just got duped.
Yeah. I mean, oh, it's powerful shit, man.
That's crazy, man.
I'd recommend it. I mean,
I'll watch that. Yeah.
yeah. And not too often I convinced my wife to watch a sports documentary, but she was right into that one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, drama's good, man. What
Yeah.
was the music like in the Beggs house as a kid growing up? Like, what are your parents playing?
Oh man. So I mean, my parents, I grew up probably as a classic rock guy. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll tell you what though, I don't think I gave a shit about music until I was about 9 or 10, and it was your voice on the Fox, man. I think '02. We always started listening to the Fox right as you were on. It was your sultry voice that
That's
got me
awesome.
into rock and roll, man. No, I'm giving you too much credit, but
Yeah, I love it.
um,
I'll take
yeah,
it.
yeah. I started with that alternative rock in the early 2000s, and
Yeah.
then as soon as my dad heard me listen to rock that he didn't like, he started putting me on the classic rock, and I feel like that's all I listened to for another 4 years of my life. And
Right. Well, you got to
like I
start
said,
them young, Trevor.
yeah, 100%. I'm already trying to play my baby girl some Beatles and some Frank Zappa.
Oh yeah.
I almost cried the other day. We got one of those Google Home things in your house where you tell the Google machine to play a song.
Yeah.
And I was saying, I was playing "Drive My Car" by the Beatles, and she's like, "Daddy, car song?" And I was like, "Yes,
Oh,
I did it!
yes.
I made
Like,
it!"
yes, I'm doing it right.
Yeah. And then 5 minutes later, she asked for "Baby Shark," and I wanted to blow my brains out. But
Yeah.
it was a small
50
victory.
50.
Yeah, small victory. But I listen to a bit of everything now, man. I was thinking the last concert I was at was pre-COVID now, and it was Rufus Du Sol, an Australian
Oh,
EDM artist, I guess you want to call it. And I was
yeah.
at like a festival there right before COVID. But
Okay.
I listen to a bit of everything now, but definitely rock and roll roots for sure.
Right. What was your first concert you went to?
AC/DC at BC Place. Yeah.
Holy shit, setting the bar.
Yeah, seriously, man. It was a hell of a show, man. Angus Young doing his thing. I actually met a guy the other day that saw Bon Scott live, so I was a little jealous of that. But yeah,
No shit.
yeah, I know, right? But
Wow.
yeah, I know I started off on a high with AC/DC.
Yeah, for sure. How old were you for that? What
I
was
was
the tour?
15.
Can you
So yeah.
remember?
I was 15, yeah. It was about '08, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, like the Black Ice, maybe something like that, or
Yeah, exactly. I think it was the Black Ice tour, yeah.
okay.
But I'll
Wow,
tell you probably
those
the
guys
best gig.
are freaking old and they can throw it down still.
Oh, oh man, Angus Young is just like he's the Energizer Bunny, man. I think he's gonna live to 200 years old.
Yeah, for sure. It's him and Keith Richards, or yeah, Keith Richards
Yeah,
from the Stones. Yeah.
yeah. He's also
Hey,
gonna live forever.
Trevor, I want to respect your time, buddy. I appreciate you jumping on the podcast here tonight. I've got a couple more questions and we'll wrap it up, all right?
Yeah, sounds good, buddy. I'm here for you.
So share a near death story with us, like where you should have died.
You know what? I know some people have some really good ones. I don't have a huge one that stands out. So there was some nights overseas where you start experimenting. I did a Europe trip with the boys maybe 6, 7 years ago, and yeah, there was one night where doing some crazy shit, and I remember I wasn't brave enough to do this. My buddy was basically like tightrope walking drunk on this like metal pole over a big fucking like ravine, and like I thought he was gonna die for sure, man. Like that was some crazy
Wow.
shit. I mean, for me, I remember like narrowly avoiding a car accident, like nothing too exciting, but I've seen my buddies that have some more
Right.
interesting near-death experiences.
Some shady shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hashtag liquid courage.
yeah, exactly.
All right.
And then some.
So hit us with can you do this actually? So most people can't, but can you pick one career highlight?
Ah, man, yeah. So it's funny because I've jumped careers. Like I went to J school, then I was in marketing, then I
Yeah.
was in community journalism, then went into marketing. Now I'm a financial advisor. So I've been all over the place. But I'll go with this year actually. So again, shout out to Rob Williams at Daily Hive. I mean, I've been writing about the Canucks for a long time, but this year through Rob and Daily Hive, I actually got to cover some games as part of the media. So maybe I'll talk. Maybe my first presser with Travis Green and I think it was Connor Garland that came out too. That was a highlight. So I'll tell you what, the game I covered was the 4-1 loss to Pittsburgh back in early December, which was
Okay.
Travis Green and Jim Benning's last game. So
Right.
I don't know, maybe it was all thanks to this guy that set the future in motion for the Vancouver Canucks.
Too bad that wasn't like 5 or 6 games prior, buddy, and maybe would have made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, hey, that's Rob's fault, man. I just didn't get in there quick enough,
Come on, Rob. God damn it. Trevor, you're easy to find online at Trev Beggs, TrevBeggs on Twitter, Trev Beggsy, Beggsy on Instagram. I think that's it, man. Thanks for doing this, and I guess we'll see you online.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. And you're a legend yourself, Todd. Keep doing what you do best.
Right on, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, man.